Today we're comparing the 2023 Infiniti QX60 to the Acura MDX. But by now you probably realized that this is not just the standard MDX, this is the Type S, which we have drag raced before and I have reviewed it. And you're probably wondering, wait a minute, you're comparing a performance SUV to a non-performance? Yes, you're right. That shouldn't be the way this comparison should be done. But unfortunately, Acura only had this available, and both are the top trims that you can purchase. So they kind of make sense a little bit. Now, this is not extremely different to a standard MDX. There's just more horsepower. It does have a few goodies added on, but it's not totally different to the, let's say, the fully loaded MDX non-performance. So let's talk about these two. We're going to talk about space, how do they drive, and most importantly, what's the price for both, even for the base model, and what kind of tech features you get. Let's start first with the exterior. The backside of the MDX Type S, of course, it's not as a standard MDX. We have a quad exhaust system, sporty diffuser at the bottom. We got a Type S badge. The Infiniti on the other side, it is a bit different. It does have a bit of a sporty design too, but not as aggressive, and you don't have that quad exhaust system, but I'm sure maybe you can put some aftermarket exhaust. We have the diffuser at the bottom and these fake looking exhausts over here. Yeah, I would say this standards, the Infiniti looks a lot better in my opinion, but then the MDX Type S over there does look a bit more sporty, so it's a tough one. It's a really tough one. The front end of the MDX follows that of the rear end, a bit more sporty design, especially the grille is different in comparison to the standard MDX. And then we have the Type S badge. This is also equipped with fog lights, which is something that you're missing in the Infiniti. Other than that, I like this design, but looking at the rollers, the Infiniti looks more luxurious. It has a different presence. It actually looks like it's worth $100,000. The MDX looks like a standard three-row SUV, not too crazy. Even with this Type S Forma on the outside, I'd still think it's not as luxurious looking. On the side, it is equipped with red brake calipers, again, just to give you that aggressive, sporty looks, but you'd know on the side that this is a Type S. And they made sure that it has Type S badges pretty much everywhere, even on the side over here, you'll notice that. Now, let's talk about space, and let's move into the MDX, and we'll start first with the cargo space. It is, of course, powered tailgate. That way you press the button, it opens up. There's also the wave part at the bottom, so you do with your foot and then it will open or close. Now, in terms of cargo space overall, the MDX offers a few cubic feet of space in comparison to the Infiniti. We're looking at about 16.1, 16.4. We want the Infiniti about 15. Although the Infiniti on the outside looks a lot bigger, space-wise is not a lot bigger than this. The other thing you have with the MDX is that if you open this thing here, you get the extra cargo space underneath. So that way you get more space, which again is very important. In order to fold the third row seat, well, you have a few options from the back side. You have this lever over here, you push this down, and then the same thing over onto this side, you push this down, and there you go. And there's a button on the side over here, which is something that I realize right now, it's available also with the new Honda Pilot. Basically, you press this button, you walk away, and it takes a couple of seconds for the tailgate to close. So let's try this. 1, 2, 3. And it's not working. This is one of those fail moments. Okay. Okay, it doesn't want to work. The Infiniti also has a power tailgate, and most importantly, you can wave your foot under and it will open and close. Space-wise, Looking at them, even without looking at the specs, you can tell the MDX does have just slightly more space, but it's not a huge difference. More space underneath here for the Infiniti. You pull this thing and you get this extra cargo space underneath, and you can also remove this in case if it's filthy. You can actually use this quite nicely if you go camping, because maybe you can put some nice ice and then dump a lot of beers. Of course, you don't drive that day, and then you close this and we'll keep it nice and cold. The other thing the Infiniti offers is 2 buttons on this side, so you can press these 2 buttons for the right. The third row, you can fold them from here. You have this lever at the top, and then you push down. Same thing over into this side, and there you go. And if you want to unfold them, you pull this lever back. The same thing on the other side too, and you're good to go. Press the button, and then you walk away. First of all, how do you get into the third row for the MDX? Well, you have a button behind the seats if you're sitting in the back, if you want the seat to move forward. There's also a button on the side over here. You press that and it automatically moves forward. Let's see if I can actually do this. I just wish the seats kind of folded completely. This is going to be hard to get in, so let's try this. Yeah, the third row usually not good for someone. Oh, this is tough. Okay. Yeah, this is it's very tough back here. I'd say probably children might fit in here, but someone my height, definitely not, unless no one is sitting in the front. But then what's the point of sitting in the back where you can sit in the front? Tech features in here, we got USB ports, 1 on each side. There's a small cup holder, and that's it. Now I need to come out of this. Okay, let's try this without ripping my pants. Oh God, this is what I have to do for my job. Okay, let's go and try the Infiniti next. Okay, into the Infiniti. First of all, with the Infiniti, we have the autobiography package, and there's a good way to tell that because the seats have this beautiful logo that says autobiography, which means you only get 7 seats. So, how do you fold the second row seat to get into the third row? Well, you have a few buttons actually the same as the MDX. There is one on the side here and one at the back. You press the one on the side, and then the entire seat moves forwards, which I think you get more space here. Would you say that, Pratt? It does feel like there's more space to get in, right? I just wanted a second opinion that I'm not wrong about it. Okay, this is actually a lot easier to get into the third row in comparison to the MDX, and slightly more room in here. That's one thing I noticed. Let's try and do this. Oh God. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, but you know what you get here? 4 cup holders, 2 on each side, and there's also a USB port, 1 on each side. But one thing we noticed, the panoramic roof is bigger in the MDX in comparison to this Infiniti. Now, let me try and come out. That's actually nice. It moves a lot forward. No, do not put your feet here. And I did do that. Okay. It's actually, yeah, it is slightly less annoying to get out of this one. Definitely less annoying. And then you put your seat back. Now, let's talk about the second row. And since we are here, let's do this. This one, you can move the recliner. You can also move the seats back and forth all the way. And this, with the autobiography package, you only get 6 seats. So you got 2, 2, and 2 at the back. So there's only 6 with this. But you can, of course, get the 7 seat option, which is not with the Autobiography. Space-wise is nice. One thing that I know for a fact, the Infiniti has this theater-style second row, which means that you're sitting higher in comparison to the seat in front of you, so you're looking sort of above the driver or the passenger. Tech features, we have heated seats, climate unit, single climate unit. There is a USB port, a USB-C port. You have 120 volts plug in case if you want to use for your computer or something that can actually take that kind of voltage. There is a sunshade on the side over here. We have the Bose Performance Series audio system. In the center, the Infiniti has this massive box that has 2 cup holders and then more space here. But in case if this bothers you, you're like, I don't want this thing, it's just not good for me. What you can do is pull that lever, and then now you got yourself some space here. Oh, and this has this nice armrest in the center. But in case if you do need this, here you go. Now you have this one for the cup holders. It's actually pretty easy to put on and bang on. Let's jump into the MDX. Okay, first of all, you can adjust the recliner with this lever on the sides. That's a good option. If you want to move the seat back and forth, you can, similar to the Infiniti. This also has 7 seats in total in comparison to the Infiniti. But what I do like about this is very interesting. Now, I did show the exact same thing for the Honda Pilot. The new Pilot has the same feature. So the center seat here can actually be removed completely. If you don't want to use this, you can just fold this completely. Now it becomes into an armrest with 2 cup holders and some space in here, which is nice. But let's just say if you did not want this completely, you can actually remove this, and there's space in the back, that little space that I showed you underneath. You can put this thing over there, and that way now you have more space in the middle in case if you wanted to use. For child seats, the Infiniti does have in the second row, there is for both seats, you can put the child seat. In here, you have for the right side, the left side, and it does appear we have the handles here for the middle. So you can actually put the child seat in the middle here because it has this little logos that you see there, which is nice. That means you got 3 child seat positions in the MDX, something that you don't have in the Infiniti with the Autobiography because you only got 2 seats. Into the Infiniti, let's start it up first. This, as I mentioned previously, is the Autobiography. You can tell from the letters on the actual seat. This interior is quite nice. I really do like the quilted dashboard. It gives it a very luxurious feeling. The seats as well are nice. It's a different feeling, and I actually enjoy this color interior, this mix of dual colors. We have the black and this brown gold mixed together. I love that. It feels nice. Everything feels nice in here. Tech features, we have a heads-up display, beautiful cluster, fully digital. We have this massive screen in the middle, which I have to say I am a bigger fan than I am towards the one in the MDX. I've said this before, the MDX annoys the hell out of me. I do not like that system at all, and apparently my camera guy Pratt agrees too because he drove that, and it's annoying as hell. But here's what both of us don't like about the Infiniti. The center unit here for the climate and the seats, they're all touchscreen. We're not a big fan of it. The MDX has the better option in my opinion because they're buttons. I like buttons. They're nice. They're easy to use. Right, Pratt? A lot easier to use. This one, it's like glossy black and it leaves a bit of fingerprints. Not the biggest fan. Some people enjoy that because it looks a bit more luxurious, but with time it gets a bit annoying. In the center here, this has a standard gear shifter, which in my opinion, I've said this before, it's not the easiest to get used to it, but with time, of course, because it's your own vehicle, you will get used to. We have different driving modes, we have 2 cup holders, there's a wireless charging pad, and what the Infiniti offers that you're missing the MDX is the rear camera, which I absolutely love. It is displayed through the rear view mirror, which basically has a camera at the back and it gives you a full display. Why is that important? Well, it actually does a better job at showing you the rear end or whoever is behind you in comparison to the actual window, because if you do have passengers in the 3rd row or in the 2nd row, you don't really get the best visibility out of the rear windshield. The rear windshield becomes very small and you really have no great visibility. So this one really comes in handy. Absolutely love that. The audio system is powered by Bose Performance Series. It's not at the same level as the LES that we have in the Acura. That one has more speakers. It is more premium, and especially with the Ultra package. Now, let's go into the MDX and let's talk about what you get in there. Okay, we go from one glossy black center console to another one, and then you have the Type S chime. That's nice. Welcome to your MDX. Let's start it up. Okay, so with the Type S, you do get this flat bottom steering wheel with the Type S badge. You got this, you have the paddle shifters at the back if you want to have some fun. There is a heads-up display. There's a digital cluster. The cluster it's nice. I think the one in Infiniti looks better. It has different modes of customizing the layout. It's quite enjoyable. In the center over here, we do have buttons, as I mentioned, for the climate unit. But one thing I must add is that in Infiniti, although you don't have physical buttons, they kind of act like physical buttons because you don't just tap or touch, you actually press as well. It's like that haptic feedback, which is very, very important because that way you know you press the button. In the center here, the Infiniti does have a standard gear knob, back and forth kind of thing. This has buttons, but you also have a drive in sport mode button in the center. The only way to use the infotainment display for the MDX, which again, not the biggest fan, and I hope they fix this in the next gen or next year, this part over here, there's a track pad. Some people have told me that they got used to it. I have still not gotten used to it. I haven't gotten used to it yet, so I couldn't say that I'm a big fan of it. I like the Infiniti because you do have a center unit to control and touchscreen. So if you don't like the touchscreen, well, you get that option here. We have a wireless charging pad located into the side, and they have included this little handle that you put your hand to control the trackpad. Nice touch, I'll give them that. It has USB-C and USB port, but what I like about it is they're actually hidden. So you press that and they hide so it doesn't obstruct the view, although there's not much in there to obstruct. But just a nice quirky thing. In the center we have the different driving modes. What I like about this is this. It kind of reminds me gaming, as if you're playing some sort of like underground, picking your car, picking the mods, lots of memories. And to go into Sport Plus, you hold it and it goes to Sport Plus all the way. So now it's sport mode. It's a nice touch. I could be here all day. Engine specs and engine options. The Acura MDX offers two engine options. The standard gets a 3.5 liter V6 that makes 290 brake horsepower, which is 5 horsepower less than the Infiniti, and 267 pound-feet of torque. That's for the engine 1. You can also get the Type S, which comes in two trims. That uses a 3 liter V6 turbocharged engine that makes 355 brake horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque, both equipped with a 10-speed automatic transmission, but of course all-wheel drive. And Acura says that the MDX Type S does have a faster 10-speed, tweaked for better performance, which I understand because it is their performance SUV. Here's what you get with Infiniti. It offers a 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated, makes 295 brake horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. It uses not a CVT, but a 9-speed automatic transmission. It is, of course, all-wheel drive. Towing capacity. Infiniti can tow up to 6,000 pounds if equipped properly. Meanwhile, the Acura MDX for both Type S, both engines, you can tow up to 5,000 pounds. So you get about 1,000 pounds more with the Infiniti. Now, let's talk about the pricing, because that is very, very important in this comparison. If you had to pick the base model in Canada, you're looking for the MDX starting at $59,000 Canadian. Meanwhile, the Infiniti starts at $56,000 Canadian. The fully loaded autobiography Infiniti will cost you almost $70,000 Canadian. Meanwhile, the Ultra Type S MDX, you can get up to $84,000 Canadian. That's a huge gap. That's almost $15,000 for the MDX Type S. With the MDX Type S, you do get a few extra features. The first one is the Air Ride, which is adjustable based on the driving mode, as you can see from the video. The lift I found to be the highest one, which offers the highest increase of height. Then you have the Sport mode, Sport Plus, which of course lowers the vehicle to give it a better aerodynamics and a more sporty look, I would assume. Then you get better audio system with that. There's also massage seats, and the Type S Ultra has, of course, a higher price. You can also get a standard Type S, which is less expensive than the one that we have for today's video. The problem I have with the MDX is that at $80-something thousand, $85,000, does become a bit pricey. If I had to pick between the standard MDX and the Infiniti, I like the fact the Infiniti tows a bit more. I like the fact that it does have a better interior, in my opinion. The design is slightly better, feels more luxurious. I like the exterior. But then with the MDX, you do get the Type S. It's a tough one, especially if you need something that is a bit performance. It's a very difficult decision, but I have to say, because you get an MDX Type S, between the two of them, if money wasn't an issue, I would go with the MDX Type S. But if I had to go for the base model, the Infiniti for me just ticks the boxes, especially because you get that third row, which gives you a bit more space in comparison to the MDX. But the Type S, though, that MDX, is very enjoyable to drive. It's actually pretty quick in comparison to this. The difference when you jump from this to that, in terms of that performance, is noticeable. And I'm sure many people say, I don't really need 355 brake horsepower. I don't really care about that. I just need to make sure that there's enough space, there's a good price. Then that's a different conversation. But for me, knowing that that Type S exists, I would have to say the MDX. It's such a great package overall.